Alright, so what I did here, I'm actually going to do this before I put the wings on now. I'm going to cut out my headstock shape, and I'm going to kind of come along the edge of this here and take off as much of the excess as I can with the bandsaw. I'm not going to come really close. I'm just going to kind of get the big bulk that I just really don't want to carve through. So I took a headstock template that I made. There's instructions on my website, www.sixgunguitars.com. And for templates, I'm big into templates. I put this guy on here and got kind of my basic shape that I wanted to, and then I extended it a little bit for the fact that I'm going to have bass tuners on there. You know, and I'd like to have a little bit bigger headstock on here too. I think it'll be a little bit more proportional, look a little nicer. So I went ahead and marked all that out. I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to take it over to the bandsaw, cut that out, cut about the ways down here. I made a couple of marks on the other side, back down close by the body, so I know where to get out. So that way I'm not in the way of anything that I'll be carving, or I don't cut off anything that the body wings need to attach to. So I'm going to take it over to the bandsaw now, make those cuts, and the headstock should have a little bit more of a shape to it then. And then I'll take the headstock over to the belt sander, refine the edges on it really nice, and then bring it over to the bench and we'll go ahead and glue those wings on. Alright, so I went ahead and cut everything out, and I also took it over to the belt sander for a little while and got some of the edges done. And I have not built an electric guitar in a while. It's been mostly acoustics, so I am actually going to go ahead and change my mind, and I am going to carve the back of this down round all the way up to about where the wings are going to hit, not too close but near it, so I have a little less carving to do when those wings are in. And what I'm going to do is put it up on the board here. This is a carpeted workboard. These are fantastic. Just get yourself a piece of MDF or something. Go ahead and buy the cheapest carpet you can buy pretty much. You know, just something thin, you know, without a lot of shag. And what happens is you can lay pieces down on it and you don't have to worry about them getting, you know, scratched, nicked, or marred or anything like that, especially because fretboard's done. I really don't want to do anything else to it. There's a couple of spots from the clamps that I'll go ahead and do a little sanding on just to make sure they're uniform when I apply the finish. But other than that, I really don't want to mess with it anymore. So I'm going to clamp it on the carpeted workboard. I'll probably clamp it about here and here. And then I'm going to come along with this guy. Just a nice rough round rasp here. And the way that you're going to do this is just kind of come in and go across this way as you're coming down, and just kind of keep working your way across. What you're trying to do is round the back profile of the neck. There's faster ways of doing it than this. I prefer a slightly slower method just so that way it's a little safer and everything works a little bit easier. I also have a spoke shave, which I'll probably pull out and do a little bit with. A spoke shave just looks like this. Kind of a cheese grater from hell kind of thing. And this guy really grabs. I mean, you come along and it is going to pull out nice big chunks of wood. So between these two I'll get my rough out, get pretty close to where I want to be, where I can do the rest of the palm sander, get in there and do the vast majority of it with the palm sander, so that way again I don't have to worry about, you know, trying to work around the horns on the guitar as I'm working with it. And once it gets down to pretty darn close to where I want it, where it's sanded down and everything, then at that point we will finally attach the wings on this thing. Alright, I'm going to show you a little bit with the spoke shave here. I'm just going to come along. What I'm trying to do is kind of facet this end in a little bit. Facets are basically straight lines instead of a curve. If you have a straight line, straight line, straight line, straight line, those are facets. So I'm kind of trying to, I mean, I'm not intentionally faceting it, but I mean the fastest way to do this is to kind of knock down your corners and then kind of come back on a little bit more of an angle, a little bit more of an angle, and then come back with the rasp and go ahead and get those all blended together. So I'll show you the way that this thing works. Again, you have to go kind of slow because it takes off a lot of material, and especially with the curly maple, I really don't want to have anything fly out of here that I can't put back in. That might be a little hard to see, but just in that little bit of time, we removed a lot of material here. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going on that, and I'm going to do the entire neck with the spoke shape first, and then I'll come back with the rasp and kind of finish up a couple areas that don't need as much material removal. And then I'll come back with the palm sander and probably around 100 grit paper, get everything pretty darn close with 100 grit, and then switch over to 220 and finish it out. But that's about the way to do it. It's long, it's slow, and it's tedious. You could use a spoke shape, you could use a couple of small planes. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do this. The big fancy guitar companies have a spindle molder, which is basically a really, really wide round over bit that they'll buzz into the end of here and buzz all the way across, and then buzz into this side and fly out. And the neck's basically done at that point, just minus maybe a little bit of sanding or any nicks or anything like that that they got to repair. But I mean, it'd be nice to have that, but unfortunately we don't. So I'm going to go ahead and do this the long way, and I'll show you what that looks like when we get back.